The author of the work is Homer. It was likely written down in the 8th century BC. The city of Troy was located on the coast of Asia Minor in present-day Turkey. Its other name was Ilium, hence the title of the epic, the Iliad. Its main theme is the wrath of Achilles, who was a participant in the Trojan War. Agamemnon, king of Argolis, and his younger brother Menelaus, king of Sparta, also took part in it. The Trojan War broke out because of a woman, Helen, later known as Helen of Troy. She was the wife of Menelaus, king of Sparta. However, she had an affair with Paris, the son of the king of Troy. One day, she fled with him to Troy. Thus, Menelaus and his brother Agamemnon organized a military expedition to bring Helen back. In the opening part of the epic, we learn how Achilles quarreled with Agamemnon. Their troops had been besieging Troy for many days. Then Agamemnon took the daughter of the priest Chryses as a captive. The old man begged Agamemnon to return his beloved daughter, but the Greek king refused. The priest then turned to Apollo for help, who was moved by his suffering and decided to assist him. He sent a plague upon the Greek army, which decimated their forces. Achilles then called a council and argued with Agamemnon, demanding that Chryses' daughter be returned. Eventually, the king gave in and agreed to yield her, but under one condition, that Achilles give up his own captive, Briseis. The great warrior had to do this for the good of the army, but he held this insult in his heart and withdrew from the fighting. Furthermore, through his mother Thetis, he influenced Zeus to start helping the Trojans. Zeus sent Agamemnon a dream that motivated him to launch an assault on Troy. The Achaeans, or Greeks, set out toward Ilium. The attempt to capture the city was unsuccessful. Eventually, the fighting was paused, and it was decided that a duel would take place between Paris and Menelaus. After all, their conflict over a woman was the cause of the war. Why should thousands of men fight on their behalf when they could settle it between themselves? It was agreed that the victor would take Helen with him. Menelaus gained the upper hand and would have surely won the duel were it not for the intervention of Aphrodite, who snatched Paris away and brought him behind the city walls. The Greeks viewed this as cheating and demanded Helen's surrender. The truce was broken. The king of Troy was Priam. Among his children were Hector, Paris, Deiphobus, and Cassandra. Brave and noble, Hector said goodbye to his wife Andromache and their infant child. A duel took place between Hector and Ajax. Once again, it yielded no decisive result. The fighting was paused once more to bury the fallen. The Achaeans used this time of peace to fortify their camp. After some time, Zeus intervened. The supreme god forbade other gods and deities from interfering in the war. More battles followed. The Trojans came out beyond the city walls and pushed the Greek forces all the way back to the sea, then camped outside the walls by campfire light. Facing potential defeat, Agamemnon sent an embassy to Achilles, begging him to re-enter the fight. Achilles, however, refused. In the morning, the fighting resumed. The Greeks were losing. Agamemnon and many other Greeks were wounded. Seeing this from afar, Achilles sent his friend Patroclus to find out who had been injured. The Greeks were pushed back to their very ships. In the face of the Achaeans' defeat, Hera decided to put Zeus, who was favoring the Trojans, to sleep. However, after some time he woke up and once again began helping the inhabitants of Troy. Patroclus begged Achilles to allow him to fight. Achilles agreed on the condition that Patroclus focus strictly on defending the ships and not approach the city walls. The friend took Achilles' armor and rushed into battle. Together with other soldiers, they broke the Trojan attack. In the heat of battle, Patroclus charged toward the city walls, where he died at the hands of Hector, who took his armor. Achilles was devastated upon hearing of his friend's death. Over time, his grief turned into unimaginable rage. The hero decided to return to battle, but he lacked armor since it had been taken. Therefore, his mother, Thetis, asked Hephaestus, the god of fire, to forge a new set of armor for her son. A large portion of the work is dedicated to the process of forging the new armor, especially the intricately decorated shield. Hephaestus made it from 5 layers of metal, representing the entire world known to the Greeks upon its surface. There were 5 concentric circles on the shield. In the center, the first representing the heavens and the earth, the sun, the full moon, and stars and constellations. The second, 2 cities. In one, joyful wedding celebrations and a judicial dispute take place, while the second is besieged by enemy forces and active fighting occurs within. The third, rural life and human labor, scenes of plowing, bountiful harvests, grape gathering in a vineyard, and shepherds guarding cattle and sheep. The fourth, dancing, young men and maidens dancing in a circle during a festival. The fifth, the river Oceanus, a great band of water encircling the entire circumference of the shield, binding all these images together. Wearing his newly completed armor, Achilles reconciled with Agamemnon. Then, the final battle broke out. With Zeus's permission, the participation of other gods was allowed. Achilles and Hector fought most valiantly. After some time, Achilles reached the city walls, intending to fight Hector. Hector, however, panicked at the sight of the hero and began to flee, circling the walls of Troy 3 times. During the 4th lap, Athena intervened. She transformed into Deiphobus, Hector's brother, and urged him to stand his ground. Hector engaged in battle, first with spears and then with swords. Achilles emerged victorious, after which he bound Hector's body to his chariot and dragged it around the city. That night, Patroclus' funeral took place. Unexpectedly, Priam, king of Troy, appeared in Achilles' tent, begging him to return his son's body. He offered as much gold as the body weighed. Priam's pleas moved Achilles, so he agreed. Thus ended his wrath. He had finally avenged Patroclus' death. A solemn funeral for Hector was held in the city. Here ends the Iliad, whose main theme is the wrath of Achilles. Thus, we do not learn the end of the war from it. Only from other works can we find out what happened next. The Odyssey mentions the Trojan horse, and this story is detailed by Virgil in the Aeneid. The Greeks took advantage of Odysseus' idea and built a huge horse, later known as the Trojan horse. They presented it to the Trojans as a votive offering to Athena for a safe return home and left the mainland. Overjoyed by the end of the war, the city's inhabitants dragged the horse behind the walls, even though Cassandra foretold that it would bring them ruin. No one listened to her, which is why to this day people speak of Cassandra warnings, or news predicting disaster. The horse was not an act of friendship, it was a ruse. At night, soldiers hidden inside the horse came out and opened the city gates. Meanwhile, their army sailed back and entered the city under cover of darkness, capturing it. During the fighting, Achilles died, wounded by an arrow shot by Paris, Hector's brother. The poisoned arrow struck his heel, the hero's only vulnerable spot. The Greeks captured the city and leveled it to the ground. The wounded Paris died shortly after. Helen returned to Sparta with her husband, Menelaus, who forgave her infidelity.